Hey, what's up, germs? Today I'll be doing a quick stream. I've been hearing about this sort of English test going viral in Vietnam because the national high school graduation exam just finished, and right now I'm in the middle of teaching season. I'm actually pretty exhausted, but I don't feel like if I keep pushing this off, I don't think I'll ever do it. So might as well just make it happen. Today, I'm going to solve the Vietnamese high school graduation national exam English questions. And I didn't do any special preparation for this other than I have the Reddit thread open. So I'll show you the Reddit thread, and I'll give you my initial thoughts on people's comments, and then I'll just go right into the questions themselves. I am pretty I'm pretty sleep deprived right now, but we'll see what happens. Even if I'm sleep deprived, I should be cogent enough to be able to explain my thoughts and hopefully get most of these questions right, assuming that they are well constructed. If they are not well constructed, well, you will hear my opinions very soon. So let's get into it. All right. So where are we right now? So this is just the Reddit thread that I found because I didn't hear about it through Reddit. I heard about it through a friend who lives in Vietnam, and I'm actually just realizing some minor detail here. So I'm just gonna go and fix that. Just solving unenglished. Okay, so I have not seen any of these questions before, and I've saved these questions for the stream today. So we'll see how far I actually get. And this is kind of outdated now, so I'm gonna refresh the comments. Draining, difficult, okay? American SAT. See, the thing about these is that obviously people who score average scores on the SAT are going to struggle on academic tests of English. So the thing is that if you have people who are going to score like a 500 on the SAT reading and writing, they can say, oh, English my native language, but it doesn't really mean anything, right? So that to me, obviously it's going to be a very popular reaction, but just because people who have average scores outnumber people who don't have average scores. But we'll see what happens because, sometimes there is a valid criticism there. Okay, I'm not really seeing anything interesting yet. The font and formatting makes it harder. Two other English teachers and I created an ACT preparation course. It's similar to ACT. That's not that. Okay, but the questions were worded more clearly. That's interesting. It's just poorly designed, is what some people are saying. Nightmarish wall of text. This is just a high school student. Yeah, the native English speakers that say all this stuff. Oh, this is actually the content, so I'm not going to go into this. All right, well, let's see what happens, because I don't think this thread is going to teach me very much. I know that I saw that in the Vietnamese local news, there was a lot of hubbub around this thing. So as an SAT teacher, I'll share my opinions with you guys. Let's actually go ahead and solve them. So here we go. Now, by the way, I think there are, let me actually just do a quick, I'm not going to read the actual questions themselves, but let me actually just look at the format of the test. So we have Mark the letter A, B, C, D on your answer sheet. Best arrangement of utterances or sentences. Make a cohesive current exchange of text. 1 through 5. This is just the first 5 questions. Then we have questions 6 through 11, and then 16, and then 21, 22, and then, yeah, so this is correct. Like, this is what I was expecting when I saw some other version of this. Actually, the Reddit version is kind of annoying because this one is poorly, like, the pictures are pretty low quality. So let me see if I can find a better quality version of this. Here we go. It's about the same. It's a little cleaner. And then this is not better. This is probably worse. Yeah. Okay, I'll just stick with the Reddit version just because it's good enough. All right, so this is, I think, supposed to take an entire 50 minutes or something like that. We'll see how long I actually take, and maybe I'll write my answers somewhere. No, I'm not gonna write my answers anywhere. I'm just gonna go one question at a time. So let's go for it. Right. How come my zooming isn't work? Zoom. All right, there we go. All right, ABCD answer sheet. Best arrangement of utterances or sentences to make a cohesive, coherent exchange or text in each of the following questions from 1 through 5. So I have to sequence this. It's a writing exercise. This person chose C, but I'm gonna not look at the answer choices. I'm gonna just look at the A, B, C, D, E and figure out what the best structure is. Marvelli has now. Already, I know that's not the beginning. These, already, I know that's not the beginning. This, I already recognize. Over the past decade, probably this one. Okay. Over the past decade, the city of Marvelli, perfect, has undergone, wait, so I'm already going to start with E. I see E here. Okay, so it has to be A or C, first of all. Let's keep going. Over the past decade, the city of Marvelli has undergone a considerable transformation, experiencing an upsurge in population and an overload in the existing transport infrastructure. Okay, so lots of growth and potentially lots of pressure points. Recognize the traffic. Okay, so that's interesting. We have traffic here, and then we have accommodate this growth here, and both of those can work with the upsurge and the traffic congestion. That's interesting. C and D could both come. Let's keep going. And this is improvements that has to be later, and this has to be at the end. So A has to be at the end, which means it has to be interesting. It's not a great structure because there's some ambiguity there, but the C has to be the answer. Like, I didn't even fully read the whole thing, but C has to be the answer because this is going to be the result, and this is going to be, okay, so this is the problem. This is the addressing of the problem. This is the results of the problem. And then this is the second results of the problem. But the results of the results, or rather like the results and then the significance of the results, something like that. But now I'll actually read it and make sure it's actually correct. So let me just double check. Over the past decade, the city of Marvelli has undergone, yes, experienced an upsurge in population to accommodate the growth. The planners have replaced the older terrace housing with modern high-rise buildings, expanded population, recognizing the increasing. Now that's a very strange transition. It's actually not a very good transition because it's too like codey. You wouldn't normally go straight from this one to this one, but I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to work with the upsurge versus the overload. So then it's D afterwards, and this is wrong. A is wrong from the get-go. This had the main wood widen and the blah blah blahs. Okay, these improvements that refers back to C and D, so it has to be this. attracting investment. Now it's dynamic, da, da, da. Okay, that's exactly what I said. So C is definitely correct. I knew it was correct before I even read the whole thing. Now I know that it's correct. Let's go to question number 2. Mary, thank you very much for your help. Obviously, that's not the beginning. So it's going to be CBA because she says, hey, can you help me? And then, hey, go ahead and do this. This is the help. And then this is thank you for the help. That's CBA. All right, we're good. I exercise regularly. How about you? Okay, I do this. So A has to lead to C. And then, and I follow low-fat diet. That sounds great. I think daily exercise, that's yoga, and healthy diet, low-fat diet, are key to staying healthy. Okay, Lewis's question is the beginning, so it's D, A, C, B, E. D, A, C, B, E. Okay, so that has to be A. Pretty easy. We're going to keep going. This occasion, as a result, has, okay, obviously that's not the beginning. It had, again, that's not the beginning. I had to do the land plowing, like that's a reference to something we already don't know. So it's not the beginning. Having hands-on farming for a fortnight really exhausts me, but at the same time made me more appreciative of farming. Okay, it's probably D that starts because E doesn't make a lot of sense. This makes it sound like it's at the end of a process. So let's start with D. That's the topic sentence in like high school writing, because you always start with a topic sentence in high school writing, or middle school writing, really, in my era. But but your writing abilities, guys, is dropping. It's getting worse. So this is high school writing now. Having hands-on experience on a farm for a fortnight really exhausts me, but at the same time made me more appreciative. So now this is a sort of structure that they're going to use, where we're going to start with the first half of the claim and then the second half of the claim. As this is actually not good writing, by the way. You shouldn't write like this, but it is like textbook writing. So I get it. So I know the structure of this. It's gonna start with the hands-on experience. So where's the hands-on experience? It's probably C. Okay, I had to do land plowing, fertilizer spreading, and grass uprooting in the burning summer heat. They weirdly don't use the Oxford comma, which is strange. They should be using the Oxford comma, to be honest. I mean, even American publications use the Oxford comma now. So we have having hands-on experience on a farm really exhausted me, but at the same time made more appreciative of farming. I had to do land plowing. It was such hard work that it made me sweat all the time, even lose a few kilos. Wait. I guess E could be the beginning. I'm actually not looking at the answers, by the way, so I'm really... E could be the beginning and D could be the beginning. But then now it's talking about weight. Ugh, dude, okay. This doesn't seem like good writing. Let me see. I'm going to start at the very beginning. A, definitely not the beginning. B, definitely not the beginning. C, definitely not the beginning. D sounds like a topic sentence. E sounds kind of sub. I'm going to look at answer choices. E, D, E, D, okay? I'm going with D for now. Really exhausts me. E says, farming was such hard work, made me sweat. That's the exhaustion. Maybe, and even lose a few kilos. That sounds kind of like a result, so I guess C and then E. And then B. And then A. What? It's the reason this is poorly written is because it's just not good writing. Like, so in writing, there's a concept of old to new. So, and this is at the sentence level when we go from sentence to sentence, and it's really making me juggle a lot of different things right now, and it's not. So, where's the focus of a sentence here? Well, here we have the subject, hands-on experience on a farm. And then the focus seems to be, it's on the one hand, it is tiring, but on the other hand, it is making me more appreciative. So A should be the last sentence, and none of these other ones finish with A, so D has to be the right word. But if you imagine this as a test of actual writing ability, it's this question is a pretty poor question of actual writing ability. But just through using the trick of realizing that D is a topic sentence, and only D and A talk about appreciation, so you're gonna like bookend those. And knowing that that's probably what they're looking for, now you're playing the sort of meta game of not writing. Okay, this is not the game of writing. This is the meta of test taking. And these are the kinds of questions that make English teachers hate tests. When I personally think that their hatred of tests is actually misdirected, it's just a poorly written question. But it's only like out of the first three questions, they're fine. I think fourth question, you can just hack it and you don't really have to learn how to write better to choose this one. You're just hacking it with D and then A because that mentions the, D mentions the appreciation, A mentions the appreciation. Everything in between is just about how hard it is. Not a great question. Moving on. Dear Mr. Smith, okay. So this sounds like a call to action. You'll put that at the end. This is close. I mean, this is already has a pronoun. Okay, this is a situation. This could be the beginning. Okay, D should be paired with A. D should be paired with A. C could be the beginning. Okay, this is the problem or situation. This is the reaction. We're gonna, which has been on delivery, which has been not on delivery, which is being delivered to you, which is in delivery. I can't even think of the phrase here, but anyway, yes, something's wrong with this on. And then there's another on here. So I think the test makers here are just a little bit weird with the on usage here, the preposition on. Replace with a chip-based one, which has been. So it could be either C or E to start. I'm just going to leave that open-ended. This will deactivate your stripe card. It's actually ambiguous what the this is referring to. But I'm guessing the chip-based one is, so this means that C is after E. Okay, so E is first, C is second. And then B is third. Then D is, okay, so E, C, B. Okay, let's look. E, whoa. What the? We would like to inform you that due to our operating system, your has been replaced with a chip-based one. Okay, which is, if you have already received a chip-based card, use it correctly. Use it immediately. Okay, sure. I guess that works. Your current one. All right, you can hack this one through process elimination, but mainly because you know that it should start with something like C or E. But then you can't start with C because it says the here. So you have to start with E. And so you're stuck between B and C. And now we're playing the dumb game. We're playing the meta game again, which is not really about writing. It's really about just the test format. So now is it E to D or is it E to A? But you wouldn't start with E to A. Wow, so this is just forcing me to, yeah. And then even if you do start for E to A, then you lose it at B. So this is forcing me to do process elimination. Not a good question. Not a good question. I mean, the correct answer is obviously the only correct answer, but this is forcing you to do process elimination, which is not. I didn't like. It doesn't stand alone as like a good answer, where a reasonably high like not reasonably, as a very high intelligence person should be able to just sort of get it without having to rely on process elimination in a sort of well-designed question, in a well-designed test. I mean, it's not bad so far, but it's just a little bit hacky. All right, next couple questions. We have 5 through 11. Read the following leaflet, A, B, C, D, answer sheet. Indicate the option that best fits each of the number blanks, 6 to 9, 6 to 11. If you're not naturally sporty, oh, okay, this is annoying. They should have just did a page break. It's not, is it that expensive to just do a page break? Okay, you know what I'll do? I'll open a new tab. Okay. Okay, so I can now, here we go. So we're looking for a verb, I guess, or, oh, I see. These are the answer choices. It's not necessarily a verb. It's just any one of these things. Got it. All right. If you're not naturally sporty and finding ways to fit more activity into your daily life, here are several tips to help you make a routine. Routine of four, I guess 4. All right. Ugh. That routine of sounds kind of kind of not English. So that's okay. This test is going to struggle with the preposition usage. For the preposition usage, this test needs to have more of a native speaker vetting. Okay. To make a routine to be more active. A routine to be more active is what I would say, I guess, in that context. But even then, it's actually kind of redundant, right? If you're really trying to write better, you would say, if you're not naturally sporty, and if you are finding and want to fit more activity into your daily life, here are several tips to help you make a routine. Actually, you don't even really, if you want to just write better, you would just end it here. Here are several tips, right? If the idea of routine is important, then you would stick it in front with this stuff. Just front load it because these are already wanting to be together. There's already like a strong bond between these two ideas, the ways and the routine. So you would. So if I wrote this, I would have written it like this: if you're not naturally sporty, but want to make a routine of activity, want to fit more activity into your daily life, into your daily routine. Okay, there we go. Into your daily routine. Here are several tips. Done. So this is sort of just verboseness for verbosity's sake. So that's kind of just like, eh. Select a realistic exercise plan. Track your progress using a health app or a paper checklist. Okay. Take every opportunity to do strength building exercises, such strength building activities as carrying weights and climbing the stairs, carrying heavy grocery bags. Okay. Cool. Invite friends and other family members. Oh, that's actually logically wrong. You would never say other family members because that would make it sound like your friends are your first family members. Invite friends and other family members. That makes it sound like your friends are your family members, which maybe in Vietnam that is the case, but that's just not how you would say it in English. So that's actually logically wrong, even though grammatically out of these four choices, you should say other out of those four choices, but logically it's not correct. And try blinking everyone's competitive side with challenges. Engage. Interesting. It's strange that they're testing grammar and then suddenly they're testing word choice in the middle of a sequence of like grammar and usage questions. It's very strange. Super strange, actually. But okay. And try engaging everyone's competitive side. All right, with the reward yourself with a treat like a favorite TV show. That's kind of strange, but whatever, if your plan works. Wonders. If your plan works wonders to maintain your motivation. So that's actually just not how we use that phrase. We say, something works wonders as a strong endorsement, like a strong not like testimonial, right? This works wonders. So it's really strange to use that works wonders idiom and then to connect it back to something utilitarian. Like, it's really strange. But out of these four words, obviously, working wonders is the one that is, lexically is like the closest. But yeah, really weird way of writing that sentence. But, so far, none of the right answers out of four, within the constraint of process elimination, none of the right answers are wrong. So every right answer is definitely the least wrong, right? Now, every right answer doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good writer or a good reader. It just means that you are good at choosing the least wrong answer. So that's maybe the problem with this test, but it's nothing here is like insane so far. So let's keep going. Like, if you're just strong at English, every one of these should have a very clear correct answer to you, including the first five. I know the first five are kind of annoying, but where's the first five? I see. The first five are kind of annoying, but you can, if you use process elimination, you can really figure. The one correct answer is always the correct answer. Let's look at 12 through 16, all holidays. Okay, well, this is not going to be fun, but it's only 5 questions. Let's keep going. All holidays involve some element of risk, whether in the form of All right, so from now on, I'm going to stop criticizing the sort of lack of idiomatic English here because I've already said what I had to say. I'm realizing the idiomatic English is a little off. Prepositional usage, a little off. The word efficiency when it comes to writing a point, that's not very good. And sometimes the word choice is whatever. I'm going to focus less on that. I'm going to focus more on just the test itself now, okay, rather than the quality of English. Because I've already made my judgment. The quality of English is D+, C-, something like that. Let's keep going. All holidays involve some element of risk, whether in the form of illness, bad weather, being unable to get what we want if we delay booking, or some other problem, or being uncertain about the product. What? What are the product? Oh, well, it's really strange to say product, but okay. All 4 of them say product, so I have to choose product. And then we have to go with the some element of risk, whether in the form of noun, gerund, or gerund. Yeah, and that's D. Okay. It's the only one that makes any sense there. Some tourists, of course, relish risk. Oh, wait, am I missing something? High likely. We ask ourselves what risk we would run if we went there. Okay. Some tourists, of course, relish a degree of risk as this gives an edge of excitement to the holiday. Okay, that's hard to say. It's just not very natural. 13, comma. I can't imagine what the answer is supposed to be. Oh, I see. It's a whole freaking clause. But do not present any risks. That's strange. Wait, hang on. Some tourists, of course, as this gives an edge of excitement, as long as it's not really dangerous. I don't know if it's not in the present. Okay, so the present. Oh, I see. Logically, therefore, risk itself does not stop people from traveling. So that's what C is trying to say. It's a very funny way of saying that. But C is definitely the correct answer. So whoever is posting this on Reddit is they have a perfect score so far. 14. Others, however, are risk averse, and sure, clearly the significance of risk will be a key factor. Okay, the risk averse. Well, so I guess we're gonna sentence 14 is gonna talk about the risk non-averse, right? Crime. What? Oh, okay. The significance of the risk will be a key factor. The risk of crime than that of poor weather. Okay, well, it's not earlier mentioned. People, by contrast, will be far less. Okay, that by contrast doesn't make sense. Similarly, okay. So this is a sort of transition question. I see that they're going for the transition question format here. But so none of, yeah, similarly, by contrast, neither of them work. And then early mentioned is just false. It doesn't happen. So you have to choose D as just process elimination. The thing, though, is that it's really weird to say something is a key factor as a, what do you call it? That's a proposition. And then to go from the proposition to a concrete result. Really weird. If you're going to make a logical proposition, then you should follow up with. If you're supporting a logical proposition, then you could just get rid of the as a result. So this is the first answer choice where they really could have written like a lot of these questions, the premise of the question itself was questionable, but the answer itself, the correct answer was like, all right, I get it. This one, though, the correct answer could have been way more correct. They could have just gotten rid of as a result, and they could have will be a key factor. As such, there will be much. As a result, will be a key factor. As a result, yeah, that would be singular. That's kind of circular if you say as a result, and that would be wrong on the SAT. Okay, I'm kind of going in circles right now in my head just because of I'm just double checking. But this would be considered the significance of the risk will be a key factor. It's a claim here, and this is actually supposed to illustrate that claim. So this is actually not. You would never use as a result to illustrate that claim. Yeah. So maybe actually the test makers were actually considering C as the right answer, but C would also be wrong because it's not a similarity. So C and D are both wrong, and really it should say something like the really dumb way of saying this is to illustrate there will be much less concern. For example, there will be much less concern. Yeah, for example works, right? For example, there will be much less concern about the risk of poor weather than about the risk of crime. For example, yeah, for example would actually totally work. I don't know why they didn't give the for example. Yeah, these are both wrong. They're all wrong. All four of them are wrong. So that's a major issue there. Okay, this is the first major issue I found. And I'm saying that as an SAT tutor. I don't know. Take it or leave it. 15. Okay. 15, that's a new topic. Okay, I just can't even predict what the answer is supposed to be, so. Oh, it's changing topics to about travel agents and stuff. So let's read 15. What a headache. Customers also book their holidays by choosing the methods without risky factors. Holidays are also booked after customers choose factors and methods without risk. Also, the factors and methods choose are risky. No, that's logically opposite. Risk is also a factor in the methods chosen by customers to book their holidays. D is correct. Oh, wait, but this doesn't even lack of face-to-face. Wait, what? Then if D is correct, then this doesn't make any sense. And in part, okay, let me finish 16. And in part, the bias will be suspicious in favor of the... What the hell? And in part, due to the internet, through it. Okay. I don't know what it's trying to say. Okay, at this point, the poor quality of the writing is actually making it hard for me to even identify the intention. There's evidence that much of the continuing reluctance shown by some tourists to seek information and make bookings through internet providers. Stop there. Risk is also a factor in the methods they use. So D has to be correct. Okay, only D. Everything else is a lot of like subject shift, which is a concept in English writing. We don't really use it a lot in SAT, but so only D sticks with the same subject, which is the main topic for this whole thing. But for 15, that is. But I'm trying to figure out what the hell this sentence is saying. Can be attributed to, in part, risk, and in part, more risk. Now, this in part X and in part Y is not a normal structure. So that's what's making it really weird. So the reluctance to go through internet providers can be attributed partly to X and partly to Y. X is the lack of face-to-face contact with a trusted travel agent, and partly Y. And so I'm looking, and in part, the suspicion. Okay, this is correct because it's a noun. This is a parallel structure question, and it just messed me up because I didn't realize this is supposed to be a parallel structure question, because I was actually just messed up on, I was reading question 16, trying to get a clue for question 15. But if I was doing that in the first place, then it's a very poorly designed question where 16 is actually, like, you shouldn't design a question where they kind of, there's like compounding effects between the questions. Yeah, I was actually using the wrong strategy at that moment. But now that I see that 15 is just it's like a subject shift question, and 16 is a parallelism question, D and C is absolutely correct. So now that we're on question 16, I have found one question that is just straight up, all four answer choices are wrong, if we go by SAT standards. And we have found one question that the Reddit uploader got wrong. Up until now, out of 16 questions, the Reddit uploader has gotten 15 questions correct. All right, we're going to go. ABCD, answer sheet. 17 to 22. Sure. Art Exhibition 2025, taking place at these places in Hanoi. The art exhibition will showcase over 100 famous galleries, which are derived from our capitals alongside Vietnam's own art institutions, leading art institutions. Okay. Galleries are derived is strange. I'm trying to make a distinction between that versus which. But it's like weird. Yeah, so there should be a comma. That's the main thing. There should be a comma. There should be a comma after galleries and after capitals. So some kind of whack grammar there. But let's move on. Whack punctuation. Number 18. Oh, no, we already did number 18. Yeah, that is correct. Visitors will gain exposure to a wide variety, wide range of oil paintings. Yeah, wide range is the only one that works. Wide number wouldn't work because numbers aren't wide. Demonstrates insightful discussions. Held. Let's see. Oh, held. There we go. Held by famous. Okay, cool. That's the first time I actually predicted the answer. This exhibition is a unique opportunity for, fans, collectors, investors, enthusiasts to discover emerging talents, and see some artwork. Pick up. Pick up. Pick up is correct. Pick up as in buy. Do not miss this celebration. All right, so far that was pretty easy. And all of them pretty good except for that one thing with the commas and the which for non-essential clauses. All right, we're continuing. Oh, bro, this okay, well, this image is kind of terrible, but let's go. ABCD. Okay, let's. We are living through a boom in greenwashing. Comforting claims. Oh, I see. Nice. Nice. That's a good topic. Picture a chief executive whose company emits millions of tons of CO2. Genuine decarbonization would require bruising discussions, huge capital outlays, and a complete redesign of the firm's model. The firm, the singular firm. Yes, because we're talking about a singular chief. Far easier is to hire a creative agency. Carbon neutral, net zero, calming critics. Unsolved. I'm kind of just factually interested in this topic, but I'm not knowledgeable enough to figure out what problem it's actually pointing to. So right now, the part of my brain that's turned on is the actual information gathering part of my brain, but that's obviously not what I should be doing right now. I should be focusing on the questions. But now I do want to figure out what the 23 to 32 are supposed to be. So give me a sec. Oh, it's a reading comprehension. Oh, okay, cool. It's reading comprehension. So for poorly designed passages, for poorly designed questions, I do want to solve each question one at a time. So maybe I will go through it one at a time. Let's go. According to paragraph 1, genuine decarbonization would be a lot of work. Yeah, it's B. Okay, B is correct. 24. We're summarizing paragraph 1. The whole point is that greenwashing is driven by we're just sort of defining, we're illustrating what greenwashing is. So so if I had to paraphrase it in my own words, greenwashing, the practice of disguising business as usual pollution as some sort of environmentally conscious decision is on the rise. Okay, let's look at 24. The great precious wisely? Okay, that's interesting. C is more or less correct until the word wisely. D is more of an inference. Only D. That's not a good answer choice. Large emissions enterprises prefer tax on their offerings. That's not the main idea. That's an inference that you can maybe make, but it's not the main idea. That's such a huge generalization. Oh, no. Okay, that is actually a poorly made... Okay, that is a second poorly made correct answer. Let me just double check. Okay, A is immediately wrong. Yeah, not environmental. That's false. urges weird word choice, but I know what it's trying to say. The word wisely is the thing, it's the trick, because the tone is very anti-greenwashing, so wisely would be wrong. And D would not be a correct answer on the SAT. It would not. It's an inference. It's a generalization, actually, in this case, from literally just this whole thing is just a claim, and then an illustration of the term that is critical for this claim. And now we're going to continue supporting this claim probably later on, but this thing, the claim is that there's a boom in this thing, and this whole thing is just illustrating what this thing is. So this is not a good summary of paragraph 1. Not a good summary of paragraph 1. That does not count as a right answer. The student who uploaded this image chose what is probably the right answer according to the test makers, but that is not a good correct answer. All right, question 25, which is not stated as an example. Okay, so that comes from paragraph 2. Let's keep going. What is this I? What is that referring to? What is this 1, 2, and 3 referring to? I see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's just for a certain question type. Let's keep going. Paragraph 2. This tactic is everywhere. Airline websites, petrol pumps, supermarkets, bacon. The trickery is ancient. Okay, that's kind of a different topic. Weird, weird transition. Yeah, today's greenwashing. I see. Has flourished only recently. Okay, it's really hard to find the line when I'm reading this right now on this image, but here we go. 80s. But the real explosion has come over global heating. Okay. Mounting scrutiny, many in Europe and United States. Yeah, influence the lag behind marketing creativity. Okay, sure. The fossil fuel sector exemplifies this issue. Okay. So right now we're talking about, now we just did a bit of a zoom out. Interesting, we started with the scope paragraph, but then we kind of suddenly transitioned into a sort of like mechanism-ish paragraph, or like how it came to be paragraph, right? Which is like that really should be 2 different paragraphs now. That's like just like a strange way to move from one topic to the next in the same paragraph. So yeah, just not the easiest to read right now. But here we go. Prefer glossy PR to structural reform. Sowing doubt about climate science. Grasp that it's toxic. They have therefore swapped their denial tactics for a great paint sprayer. Okay. Really weird. Really weird. I feel like this sentence, or maybe this sentence, should come after the net zero just to kind of stick with the scope problem. But anyway, okay, I'm just criticizing the writing of this paragraph. Let's actually go and solve the questions now. I mean, bacon is there, flights are there. Fuel, wait, zero impact fuel. Let me just double check. Yeah. Fuel is there. Okay, so it's A is correct. So far, this student has only gotten 1 question wrong. The word glossy in paragraph 2 most likely means, not mostly means, most likely means. Prefer, slick PR, like flattering. Flattering, where's flattering? Yeah, B is the only correct answer. Yeah, B is the correct answer. Okay, question 27, they. Where is it? They is definitely referring to the the giants, the gas giants. Okay, the giants. Oil and gas giants. Okay, that's they. 28. Underline sentence paragraph 3. Okay, I have to read paragraph 3 now. Here we go. Why does this matter? Oh, I'm exhausted by these questions. Okay. Postpone the emission cuts or to postpone the emission cuts. Okay, got it. Whereas denial invites opposition, greenwashing lulls the public into, okay, under this illusion, pressure on high emitting firms evaporates and the radical decision needs to transfer into that are delayed indefinitely, thus acts as a soothing lullaby. Okay. Okay, that's a great paragraph. Got it. That one actually, that one flowed nice and smoothly. Underlying sentence is paragraph 3, exposing the session. Okay, so we want to say for this one, to make real change, we must raise an outcry about greenwashing. Cannot take place. Cannot take the place of rhetoric. What the? This is wrong. Not until January. Wait, that is wrong. Consider had empty resolutions, minimize emissions. I don't think that's right, but I'll come back to it. Were not for genuine efforts to reduce emissions. What? Hang on. Or no sooner had empty minimize. No, that definitely was not correct. Were not for genuine. Wait, all 4 of these are incorrect. Genuine efforts to reduce cannot take the place of rhetoric. See, this cannot take the place of rhetoric makes no sense. I think it's going for this idea of cliches as being rhetoric. Unless greenwashing is uncovered. Wait, contrapositive. This literally saying that if greenwashing is uncovered, as in is brought to light, then genuine efforts to reduce emissions can take the place of cliche, which is insane. This is just an insane sentence. It's logically not matched up with what this is saying. This is just a misinterpretation. This would be considered a wrong, like one of those distractor answer choices on the SAT. This is poorly written. Okay, now we're actually starting to rack up the poorly written questions. This is a poorly written question. Let me just double check to make sure I'm not gaslighting myself or you guys. So I'm going to slowly process this calmly because maybe I'm wrong, right? So let me just double check. If we want to replace the cliches of environmentalism with actual progress, then we must expose greenwashing, is what this thing is saying. If we don't expose greenwashing, then actual progress cannot take the place of. It's an idiom problem. They're trying to say, I see. Yeah, they're going for A. They completely chose the wrong phrase. Instead of take the place, Okay, it's not a good sentence, but at least I can fix the sentence if we say cannot displace rhetoric. Displace rhetoric. Oh no. Take the place of has a totally different meaning. They're trying to say genuine efforts to reduce emissions cannot displace rhetoric unless greenwashing is uncovered or is exposed. Or uncovered is kind of a strange word for this one, but yes, but I see what they're trying to say. But this take the place of is completely wrong. That is actually probably the worst error in this whole thing so far. Wow, that's okay. I'm gonna actually take a note because let me just take stock. Question 28 is supposed to say displaced. That is a actual bad error. Okay, and then what was the other? What were some of the other issues? Hang on. Question. I mean, this one's not that bad, but if I rank it. Question 20, question 17, there should be a comma before and after the which clause. And then the of routine one was like messed up too. Okay. What was the other messed up? I mean, some of these were just messed up. So there were a lot of them were pretty messed up. So you just had to like. Question one's great, but some of these other ones were pretty messed up. So yeah, a routine of being active. That one, question 6 is pretty weird. I would say that's worse than question 17. Oof, man, that one's. But 24 or 28, I mean, that one's actually messed up. No, there was one over here that was messed up. Oh no, that's because the student got it wrong. The student got question 15 wrong. But everything else the student got right. Oh no, question 14, that's actually the second worst one. Question 14 is the as a result one. Should be changed to like for example or to illustrate or as maybe as such, I don't know. That should yeah. Okay, now the number of questions that are a little sus are kind of high. So the number is kind of high. So it's getting to the place where I would not be happy if I were like a educated citizen and active. I was actively involved in maybe politics and the education policy of Vietnam. I would be a little unhappy about the test. Okay, but okay, let's keep going. Up until now, I was like, okay, I was kind of forgive. I mean, I understand. I don't expect every test to be perfect, but yeah, that one, it's getting rough now. Okay, where are we? We were at 28. Let's finish. 29. According to the passage, the green paint is mentioned as a bad thing. Wait, I need to remind myself. What is this green paint? Wait, this is not a literal paint though. A particular way to dispute the claims about environment. I don't know about dispute the claims. This question seems a little strange, but basically the prediction for this answer should be something like, according to the passage, the adoption of green paint by fossil fuel companies is mentioned as a strategy an alternative strategy to direct denial of climate science. It is also an example of their marketing creativity. So it's an alternative strategy. It's also a example of corporate sleight of hand and marketing creativity. Okay, so that's the prediction for question 29. Which A is not. Eh. Is that an example of greenwashing? I mean, it's kind of circular. It's not. This is just a metaphor, so no. A typical application of climate science, no. See, that's the problem. I think D is the correct answer, but if D is the correct answer, then this word dispute the claims is totally wrong. Like, you should not say dispute the claims. It's more like a particular way to avoid responsibility for the environmental crisis, but not dispute the claims. They actually are no longer directly disputing claims about the crime. So a smart student could eliminate D based on dispute the claims, but then B would also be a wrong answer on the SAT because, or any clearly well-written question test, because it's not an example of greenwashing. It is greenwashing. It's just a metaphor for greenwashing. So there's no correct answer on question 29. And I would say, now I don't know, like 28 and 29 are equally bad. Okay. I don't even know which one they're going for. I think the meta is they're trying to go for D. I actually think they're trying to go for D on question 29, but dispute the claims is not right. So, and B is not right because it's not an example. It's just another way of stating the same thing. So, okay, that's a bad question. Hang on. A is bad logically, B is bad verbally, like it's bad just, and rhetorically, it's a bad rhetorical analysis. So I'm going to go with 28 is still a worse error than 29, okay? But both of those are pretty high up there now. Right now, there's a bunch of minor issues, but 28, 29, and 14 are the ones that are making me quite bearish on the Vietnamese national exam. Question 30. Which of the following can be inferred from the passage? Okay, yeah. So it's just a general inference. Nope. Renewable is the issue. No, off topic, which enables them prevent. Nope, opposite. Increasing public concern about environmental issues. Yeah, that's contributes is this. You actually can defend, and this is actually a great question. Since I've been criticizing so much, if this is the correct answer, that is actually a great question. It would pass the bar as an SAT style question on in America. This perceived action is confusing. Has emphasized the urgency, has brought out the urgency for meaningful regulatory and corporate changes. Well, yeah. This is interesting. D could also be slightly framed to be the correct answer as well. But this is definitely further from the text, and this is definitely closer to the text. So C would be. Question 30 is actually quite a good question. I mean, like I said, some of the language inefficiency and stuff like that, and like some of the non-idiomatic phrasing, kind of becomes distracting. But ignoring all that stuff, this is actually a pretty well-constructed question right there. I would, with a little bit of like tweaking of the language, I think this could fit in the SAT. Question 31. Where in the passage does the following sentence best fit? Yet greenwashing is arguably more insidious, more, like harmful in a sort of secretive way than something else. So we're going to have to look for this. This tactic meets, so it doesn't make any sense here. Where's 2? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, it's trying to be three, but it's poorly written. In that case, there's a bit of like there's a bit of subject shift here that makes it a little harder to understand. And the way you should write it, um, you could write it as, why does this matter? Well, greenwashing shares a core objective with another strategy, climate denial, to postpone the yeah, I guess the clumping of these two into one subject makes it really weird to just use the greenwashing as a subject here, but it's not awful. It has to be. It's not awful. It's fine. It's just like minor stylistic and kind of clarity issues, but C is fine, and it's clearly the correct answer. I'm not even. I don't even really need to double check four. Yeah. 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 So it's definitely three, but so that one, at least the correct answer is definitely the correct answer. All right, moving on. All right, we're trying to summarize the passage. So if I want to summarize the passage, let me show you how I would do it. Um, I would look at this whole thing. We have the problem, we have the illustration of the problem, we have the historical context behind the problem, and then we have the scope of the problem. The scope of the problem is like split between here and here at the bottom. So we go from scope to context and historical development back to scope. Okay, so that's kind of like messed up. Actually, this is not really scope now that I think about it. Huh, okay, so yeah, okay, I'm changing my mind on that. Starts from scope and then goes into kind of like the development. Fares or Fares or probably Fares. What's up? Okay, so then we go into scope. So historical development is not going to be part of my main summary, right? I'm going to focus more on just it's growing, what it is, how how it is situated against how it is cleverly succeeding, and then how we need to react. That's already a lot to summarize, but okay, I'll try to do something like that. So in my head, let me come up with my own summary, something like greenwashing is on the rise due to a clever sleight of hand, plastering over real progress by signaling things as beneficial for the environment, which actually invites less criticism, actually invites our complacency. If we want to make real progress, we must combat greenwashing. All right, here we go. That's my general prediction. A. I mean, this is a fact, but and it works. So this is a fact about just what happened. It kind of is not a bad summary. Oh no, my bad. It's the opposite. Oh, I just saw the sophisticated. No, this is the opposite. My bad. Greenwashing has not been pervading. Okay, this is off topic. Has significantly grown as cool, attracting considerable attention, but yeah, off topic. B and C are kind of too similar, to be frank. Allows ongoing pollution. Well, scientists come out of nowhere, but it does come out of nowhere, right? Am I tripping? I feel like it comes out of nowhere. But let me see. Climate science, I guess. Maybe just barely. Yeah. Okay, it's a bear. Yeah, that one's not a great. Um, because rapid emissions cuts. Okay, let's is does rapid emissions cuts come out? Postpone the emission cuts, but where's rapid? So yeah, that would not count. Uh, that would not count as a correct answer on the SAT. It would. It's kind of far below the bar. Um, I would not consider that a sort of egregious error, but I mean, because D is clearly the correct answer, but that is not like rapid emissions cuts considered vital by scientists. I mean, that just comes out of nowhere. Um, unless I miss something, and if I miss something, you guys tell me. But on my second read just now, I could not find evidence for that. So on the SAT, that would not be considered correct. But it is the least incorrect out of these fours. Yeah, I would consider that. That's not a good one, but if I have to choose tiers, that's not like an S tier bad question. That's just like a B tier bad question, maybe. All right, let's go on. 33. Actually, S tier bad question is like backwards, right? I should just call it F tier, right? So that's like a D tier. But then, how many S tier questions do we even have, right? uh, okay. Let's keep going. We have 33 through 40. 33 to 40. A, B, C, D. It's another reading passage. Exhausting. Oh, but the questions are less reading oriented, actually. It's kind of like it's like the test makers themselves got exhausted. Let's go and see the answers. Project farming, collaborate, projects, traction, modern technology is helping. Oh, this is written way better. Oh, because it's, yeah. Actually, the previous one was not written poorly. Advanced technologies are used to optimize okay, cool. Accelerate the process. Wastage. Okay. Which is not mentioned as a type of collected real-time data. Soil, weather, plant growth. Soil, weather, plant growth. So it's C, yeah. Okay. Accelerate, speed up. Okay, that is correct. GPS technology allows farmers to precisely map out their fields, ensures optimal locations, avoiding areas of poor fertility, overall crop yield, insects, not the whole field, runoff. Okay. Curb is opposite in meaning to maximize. So reduce, monitor, increase. That is correct. Technology also plays a vital role in optimizing irrigation for sustainable agriculture. Specialized equipment reports dryness hour by hour. This is for irrigation and this is for farming, I guess, right? Yeah. Forecast rain, valves, water that the land needs. Where's the land? Specialized equipment. Each zone. Sorry, I didn't see the zone. Each zone. So that's referring to zone. So let's look at question 36. That's zone. This cuts costs. On dry continents, very necessary. Well, yeah, it makes it viable. Question 37. Underline makes it. These sort of like water savings are necessary on dry continents. Is my. Yeah, I mean B is correct. No, incorrect. C is. Smart economic projects are possible with money. What the? I mean, B is the. Okay. I mean, they're both like poorly written, but B is clearly slightly better written. Okay. Due to money, I guess it's weird because like their preposition choices are not always correct, and so like it makes it harder for me because like I'm trying to play a meta game where I'm trying to think what do they mean by their preposition choice? Because I don't actually trust that they know what their preposition actually means. You know what I mean? So, like, I have to do extra thinking because of that. Yeah, well, it's definitely B. By the way, this student is killing it. I think this student only got 2 questions wrong. If my answers, if my understanding of the meta is correct, this student got only 2 questions wrong. Question 38, paragraph 4. Let's finish paragraph 4. Digital trail does not stop at the farm gate. Let's project for. Okay, this is for the delivery aspects and like the last mile aspects. Freeze. Okay. And then this is like the market dynamics. Okay, there we go. So what's true according to paragraph 4? Tend to find untrustworthy. That's not true. Anticipate market demand. That's probably true. I have to double check. Stop, incorrect. And then predict. That could be true. Now I'd have to double check. Analytic tools. Anticipate market demand. That is analytic tools. Forecast demand. That is definitely true. Let me just double check D. Predict demand for the following seasons. Cloud platforms. Let's look at cloud platforms. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. D is not correct because cloud platforms wouldn't do that. 39. Here we go. Real-time tracking of produce. That would probably be paragraph 4 because that's when we're outside of the farm, right? So we're going to have tracking of produce, delivery times, and truck drivers. And where's the tracking of produce? Yeah, I mean, you'd have to figure. Oh, that's actually a cool question. That's a cool question. I like that question. Real-time tracking produce. It has to be paragraph 4, but the weird thing is it says the word mentions, but it doesn't directly mention it. It doesn't directly mention it, so you can infer it, but it doesn't directly mention it. But it's the only paragraph that could mention it. Yeah, but that's not cool. Actually, they shouldn't use the word mention. Okay, if they said in which paragraph would the real-time tracking of produce most likely come out, then you should say D. But okay. Poorly written question there. I'm going to add that to my list of problematic questions. The word mentions is a huge problem here because it really doesn't directly mention it. Am I tripping? I'm not, right? It definitely doesn't. Okay, final question. Preventative measure against biological threats. Biological threats, that's definitely not this bit. So we just check these bits. But this is water, so you'd have to start here. This chemical runoff. Well, that's pollution, so that's not the threat. So it's weird. Is the insect the biological threat? Does that count as a biological threat? That's kind of strange. Let me look at the first paragraph. Yep, no biological threats, and then there's no biological threats here. Okay, that's also question 40 should also be rewritten to be like, in which paragraph would a preventative measure against biological threats most fit? And then you would say paragraph 2, but it doesn't directly mention a biological threat unless insects are a biological threat, which categorically, I don't really know if that counts as a biological threat. But okay, maybe it is because insects are biological beings, but sure. Okay, so you go with paragraph 2, and I guess that kind of works. Okay. All right. So I am now done, and I'm pretty sure I figured out all the correct answers except for question 29, which I think is the one where I actually just do not know what they're going for. I know if they chose B, then it's because if they think B is the correct answer, then that means their rhetorical analysis is bad. And if they think D is the right answer, which I think they think D is the right answer, then their word choice is bad. Okay, because dispute the claims is incorrect. So I'm assuming they're going for D. Okay. Um, this is not. This is worse than I expected, but not as bad as people are making it out to be. That's my position on this. Worse than expected, but not as bad as people are making it out to be. Um, Part of the reason it's so hard, this test, is because the language is unidiomatic and inefficient, especially on the writing questions, which are about like sequencing the sentences together. It's just written in a way that's just not good. And so it makes it hard to feel out what the right answer is because you have to, instead of like feeling out how the writing should be, you're thinking what are the test makers thinking? Like what's their mental model? And you're trying to understand their mental model and then you're trying to choose their answer choices. And that's a sign of a bad test. So especially on the sort of writing exercises, we had some of that going on where the writing inefficiency, it makes it really hard to find the correct answer. And then some of the grammar bits, most of the grammar and the vocabulary stuff was fine, except that some of them just a little too just the prepositions were off sometimes, so it just kind of was annoying, but it's honestly not that big of a deal. The biggest problems for me were on the reading comprehension bits. Oh man, there was a couple there were a couple stinkers there, and that I think if it weren't for the reading comprehension questions, okay, I would say everything's decent. But because of the reading comprehension questions, I will have to give the Vietnamese national exam a grade of a C. I would say the Vietnamese national exam gets a C from Saul Lee. So that is my position on that writing, on that English test. Let me know what you guys think, because if you have if you can if you heard some of my complaints about some of those questions and you actually have a different opinion, I would love to hear it. But from everything I've seen so far, the test deserves a C. Not awful, but there's a couple stinkers, and it does significantly, not severely, it does significantly erode the value of the trust that I have when I try to take a test. I want to trust the test makers, and I want to play. I want to play the long game. I want to just focus on the reading and the writing. I don't want to play the sort of short-term meta game of like, do you know that I'm thinking about what you're thinking, that I'm thinking would be wrong about, and therefore, because I'm thinking about what you're thinking, that I would think in the wrong way, I'm actually going to choose what you think I wouldn't think. Like that's like that stupid meta game that like you end up playing with tests sometimes when the test is poorly designed. And so I would not consider this a well-designed English test. But I have a lot of love for Vietnam. Vietnam is a rapidly growing country, rapidly developing country. The people are optimistic, positive, have a bright future ahead of them. And English tests are not really, in the whole scheme of things, the most important thing in the world. And the English test quality I am sure it's going to improve over time. I am sure that 5 years from now, if I do the same stream, the test is just going to be so much better because the standards are just going to rise as the education level, as the ambition level, as the accomplishment level, the wealth level, as the just general winningness level of the entire country rises. So Vietnam, I mean, come on, it's English is not mission. It's not like mission critical for Vietnam, right? It's good to have. So it's good for Vietnam to have an English test, and the fact that they have an English test like this, which has a lot of good questions as well, is a good sign for the future of that country. Okay, so let me know what you guys think. And Fares, if you're still around and still watching and you want to answer that question, it's not really relevant to this stream, but I'm happy to talk about that in the Discord channel. All right, guys, see you in the next stream. Until next time, keep on learning, keep on growing.